Alright, hello everyone. This is gonna be a tutorial on how to speedrun version 0.6.0 Icy Island any percent, but using airflower strats. So I'm just gonna get myself a fresh profile here. Basically, the first few levels you should really know how to do on your own. But the airflower route starts to diverge here, and this is for both versions as well. So you ideally, there's two ways you can go about doing version 06 runs. You can do them on 060, which is the fastest for Icy Island, because in 061 and above there's a 15% reduction in game speed, so the game runs 15% slower. So no matter what time you get, you could have gotten 15% faster if you did it in 06, if you did it in 061. So that rule is apparent. Basically 060 is faster, 061 has sticky ice cubes which can help you with some skips perhaps if you lose your airflower and you're subject to being power upless for your mid game and your entrance to the cave. There are some sticky ice cube strats you can do. I won't be covering those, they're available in the SuperTux Discord. Yeah, and then 062 has bomb boosting, but you don't really use that in full game runs. It's not too advantageous unless you're a TAS. And for 063, it's probably the best version to run if you're doing 061 plus. 063 has coyote timing. This version does not have coyote timing. So basically you want to just come into this level and jump on the top. And the reason I'm starting the tutorial here is because in this level you need to finish this level ideally with a power up to get the airflower as early as possible. If you don't finish this level with a power up, it's not too big of a deal. But if you're doing a 3 airflower route, which is something you might get used to, it might be advantageous to try and keep your big tugs as much as possible. So yeah, once we finish this level, it's just some simple jumping. You should be pretty familiar with this movement. This is when some of the harder stuff comes along. So this guy's RNG, sometimes he's just in a bad position and you have to reset the level, otherwise you'll take damage. For this part you can take it a little bit slow. And this is what... Oh my god, tugs were loud. Now, a lot of this I can just kind of go through and do on my own, just without explaining much, but I'm going to try and not do that. Yeah, I haven't played this in a while, so this level, there's a few things you can do. You can grab one airflower and do the world record route, which I don't really recommend, or you can do the 3 airflower route, which I do recommend for beginners. Oh, there's that sneaky death I was talking to you about, this guy. Sometimes it's just in a bad position. You can try duck jump, I think it's very precise though. And keep in mind, this version has no coyote timing. So when you grab the airflower, you can kind of really just take this a little bit slowly. There's a lot of things going on here. Even taking this slowly is fine. I recommend going up here because there's just no enemies to mess around with you. And then grab this airflower. So this is for the 3 airflower route. And you can stop on this guy, backflip up here, and just come along here and grab this airflower. Now there's obviously faster cycles you can reach, and this is something you don't want to do. Is bump into a guy like that. So let's just grab our airflowers back. Yeah. And you will finish this level pretty comfortably. I think about a 50-second time is good. Now, I call that level pretty mid-tier in difficulty. This is something you want to ideally practice a lot, because it's actually kind of tricky. Trying to get used to those global platform cycles. And I do recommend getting 3 airflowers because it extends your flight duration period. This level is actually quite easy in my opinion to do. You don't really need, you can actually just run full speed pretty much the whole time. And it's just a matter of making the jumps. So try and always give yourself enough time to like land and then jump. So this is one thing that's really difficult with the airflower is you try and jump like really early and then you end up gliding like that, for example. So what I like to try and check for is just really taking note of the instance that Tux hits the ground like that. And as soon as you can really master that, you can kind of just steamroll along, and also take use of the glide ability. Just like tapping it occasionally is very advantageous. This is what we call hoverstorming. There's many different sort of frequencies you can do it at, and those frequencies really vary in what kind of trajectory you're aiming for. So about a sub 40 time here is pretty good. That strat with the snowball is a bit overkill, you don't need to do that. That's just something that I do. It's not too precise in my opinion. Let's see if I can try and mimic it. So you just come along here. It's not this snowball, it's this one coming up. So you just jump along the edge and then just hold left a little bit. And when you're jumping on these little one-tile rocks, try and like land on the middle. You can always use the glide ability to sort of manipulate yourself around it. And yeah, you try to like gauge the fact that the airflower makes you do very, very large jumps, like large sweeping jumps. So you can try and like even just do it a bit slowly if you want. It does work. And then just do like a little bit of hover still there. And when you see these guys in the air, that's where you go, for example. You can do a lot of that kind of stuff slowly if you wish. Right, reminder, this is 060, swimming is not in this version, so don't try and go into that swimming pool. It will kill you. That part is easy, you just jump on the ledge here. Without messing up your cycles, of course. So you just jump in the middle of that ledge. Try and jump sort of mid-late within that slope. And again, a lot of what you're doing is just, you're trying to avoid enemies. Now, you're probably not going to do that cycle, to be honest. So for this part, you can just take it slowly. So wait until those guys dip, and then just hold space. Don't even like do like a mid-jump, just straight up hold space as much as you can. And for here, yeah, you can take this slowly as well. I do not recommend the fast strats here in this level, mainly because they are incredibly difficult. For here, just ground pound and move to the right. This yeah, it's just a steamroll with the power-up, so that's why I recommend getting it. You can do it without the power-up. I think it's just a bit silly, I think, to not take it. And this is the level where you're going to start seeing a lot of the airflower time saves really stack up. So in power-up plus, you're just really at a disadvantage here. So this level is pretty straightforward. This might be a little bit tricky to some people, is like landing on these snowballs. These snowballs might be really annoying. If that is the case for you, just kind of just take it a bit like cautiously. You can like just come down here and do a neutral jump of some kind over there. And yeah, so the first sort of skip is just a simple jump from here to here. It's pretty easy to do. And all of this platforming, it should be easier as you go along. So for example, there you saw I actually glided a little bit before I landed, but I was fine. So sometimes you will make little inaccuracies like that and then be unscathed from it, and that's okay. You just gotta be wary of when you're doing that, really, I think, because if you're taking note of how sloppy you're being, you can try and mitigate and slow yourself down and really take There's actually two variations to do this trick. There's a trickier thing like that, and believe me, that doesn't actually intercept those falling icicles. But this strat saves about 0.2. Don't do that. Just come down to the platform here and then jump up with running speed. So you want to try and jump on like. You want to jump off with running speed sort of on the left side of this platform. I think, can you even walk off and do it? You can walk off and do it if you tap, or if you let go of right a little bit. So if I do that without letting go of right, it's very tight. Shut up. But if you just... Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Oh, not nice flower. Okay, so, stop screaming at me. Okay, so you can... Oh, I messed this up. Yeah, you can just walk off the ledge. I don't really recommend it. I recommend probably duck jumping. Peek left. Peek right. Yeah, okay. So duck jumping and then like letting go of right is ideally what you want to do. And that might be a little bit precise to some people at first. So what you can do is something like that, where you jump straight up into the balloon. And you still make it up, because you still have some residual speed, so loosening on your speed is actually not a big deal there. It does, however, change whatever the cycle of this is going to be next. So ideally, you want to sort of jump from this ledge to this ledge and then go underneath this guy and do this. Now, this might not be too intuitive to some people, but you start gliding sort of at this midpoint here. So you have to walk off of this ledge and start gliding. Now you're seeing here, I'm not getting it. This is because you also need speed, so you need to walk off of this ledge and walk off of this ledge. So both in combination will help you get speed and positioning. And you can just hold space. If you have 3 air flowers, you can just hold space. If you have 1, you might need to do some like tactical glide stalling when you're sort of in this region. I like to wait, I think, sort of like half a second after I see the enemies like despawn, and then I just start like tapping a little bit, like I'm not really sure at what frequency. I don't know how to describe that. So just figure out what works for you, basically. And that level saves a lot of time with the air flower when done well. I would say like, I'm not entirely sure, like a good 30 seconds. Now this level, a lot of difficult stuff is here. I recommend just waiting. Just wait, and then take it slowly, do a little jump. This section, just use this to kill all of the guys. Make sure you jump over both bombs. Both will always explode, just be precautionary. Now this part you can go underneath the snowball and then underneath the spiky. But that might be like a little bit odd, so just waiting here is completely fine. If you saw that bouncy snowball taking forever to get to these spikes and die, just waiting behind him as he's doing that little weird path, just waiting behind him is perfectly fine. And yeah, just remember, coyote timing is not a thing here. And you can do neutral jumps off these bombs comfortably. And I like to try and kill this guy ASAP, but you can just wait behind him and grab the checkpoint. Of course, you're not really using the checkpoint because you want to keep your air flower. Now, remember, these do not respawn in this version. Unlike in 063, that's another quality of life change that's in 063. And for this one, yeah, you just do the jumps. A lot of this level is pretty much about getting used to the air flower. There's no real big skip unless you want to do the Kaizo, the task Kaizo, but good fucking luck, I guess. And this level is pretty easy. You basically do like a very short jump there. There's also a variation where you can duck jump, I believe. But yeah, just tap jump here, and then hold jump here, and then duck jump. And if you just hold duck and jump and right, you should be able to just slide off this ledge. And then you can comfortably backflip up over here. And just backflip, and then just... This part is going to be cycle based, so let me just tell you how this is going to look. Hold jump, duck jump, slide, and then backflip, and you want to sort of just jump over that snowball. Now, I definitely went a bit slow, so I went slow and that snowball was in a really early position. Second thing, be very careful of these guys. You don't want to be walking on this for too long. You just kind of want to like jump off of it as soon as you can, basically. Another thing you don't want to do on here is change your direction. So like this, for example, or like this. Even in the air, I'm still momentum locked. I'm holding down right, or holding down left. I'm holding down left, I'm holding down left, and it's just... It's there we go, like it takes so long to get back to running speed. Oh, I guess I don't have that. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna try and show the player controller, but it's not in this version for some reason, I didn't realise. Anyway, for these spikies, just simply jump over them, and this part you can not do that. This part, just take it slow. There is a strat that you can go underneath this. Shut up! You can just go underneath the snowball and do whatever, but it's not worth it. This part is also not worth doing the fast strats, and here just hold right. Just hold right and jump down here. Yeah, you can also jump on those snowballs. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just don't. You do little duck jump or like duck slides, I guess. You don't need to do that little ice crusher skip. And for here, just simply wait until the spiky is sort of below the pipes as he's falling, and then jump across. So I would call that level kind of like a medium difficulty at high level. Mainly because there's a strat that saves like a second, but it is quite precise. You need a full jump at like, I don't know, is it a specific window? This level, as soon as you finish this level, you really just need to be thinking to go left immediately. Don't worry if you don't remember immediately, it only loses a few seconds. And yeah, this is the most difficult strat in the entire game, honestly. And this is the part where everyone just forgets to jump. Always jump here. You see this little slope? That is a killer. If you don't jump, you just walk into that slope, jump into the ceiling, and get stuck, and you have to restart the level, which is stupid. So don't do that. Also, tip: if you do pause, which honestly I recommend sometimes, in some scenarios where you're just getting like too nervous, maybe. You can always pause, hold the direction you want to run, and then just like press another key like enter or action, and it will just let you continue. I also press jump immediately after. So this part, oh geez, yeah, just take it a little bit slow if you want. For this part, this can be very difficult. Just avoid the bombs, in my opinion. And here, you can do a multitude of sort of cycle skips. I do recommend getting used to duck jumping. So you can do like that kind of movement where you just sort of wait. Well, you don't do that. You won't be on that cycle anyway. Oh my god, shut up. Okay, yeah, you won't be on that cycle anyway. But that is an area where taking it slow can also work. So taking it slow is perfectly fine for this area. And you should be able to finish the level by avoiding snowballs, so I hope you can do that. And this is another part in which the route saves a significant amount of time. So there's two things you can do in this level. Well, I guess technically three. So I believe it was Cyrus T who said the trick to doing the skip is by sort of gliding late. That is completely not the case. The trick to the way you do ice in the hole skip consistently is by finding the right rhythm to mash at. So if I just come along here, you're going to be skipping this ice crusher basically in the skip. So you can take your time with the setup and you just want to be tapping jump. So you want to be like ba 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 ba. I'm not sure how many times you need to do it actually, but as long as you're going like, oh, we need to jump first. So you need to go like ba 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 ba. And sometimes if you do it well enough, it lets you live. It also kind of depends on your initial jump, so you need to do like a mid-high jump, but not enough to where you just die. I'm also trying to remember exactly what the rhythm is here, because I haven't done this trick in ages. So you can't do it too fast, like there I was going like ba 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 ba, so that doesn't really work. So just go like ba 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 ba. And it is a little bit finicky. This is a very difficult skip. You're probably not going to get it first try a lot of the time. And always remember to not bump into our little icicle friends. So let me try and get down here. So there you go. I'm not exactly sure how else to really demonstrate this rhythm, but this is something that you can always just try and figure out on your own by just going back and forth with dev mode. Dev mode is your friend here. I do think additionally you want some speed going into this, and that was a particularly, you can tell what is like a good quality dive stall versus a poor quality hover stall. If you like land up here, if you're like in the air at this point, or if you're in the air like just above the ground. So if you're in the air here, by the time you land, that's good. If you're in the air here, by the time you land, that was a particularly poor one, and you should be doing some practice. So what you could do as well is like, now, I don't really recommend doing any kind of buffered jump here. So the main reason is, when you buffer a jump with the air flower, you fucker. Oh god, shut up. When you buffer a jump with the air flower, what it does is basically, if I glide here, you saw that kind of jump, right? So if I glide just before landing, I will buffer a jump, right? It's sort of like a tile to like, I guess 3/4 of a tile range. So like there, that was like a tile range and I still got a jump out while buffering. So if you start holding jump like a tile from the ground and you do glide, but you also buffer the jump, you need to be careful. That residual jump you are getting is going to have significantly less airtime, and this is something that people don't really realize. So if I do a jump where it's like that, and then that, you saw how Tux landed almost immediately from the residual jump. That's because a lot of his airtime was already drained. Basically, getting sort of first frame jumps, or like buffered jumps, they don't reset your airtime. So you need to spend, I'm not sure how much time it is on the ground to reset your airtime, but you need to spend some amount of time on the ground. So let's try and get the skip again. The skip saves, I think, either 25 or 16 seconds if I can do the movement, holy shit. You should be able to figure out the bouncy snowballs there. I don't have any doubts. Yeah. Now this can be a really tricky jump. I actually recommend gunning straight for the bomb. And obviously when the bomb is coming towards you at this point, so when you jump on the bomb, oh my goodness gracious, can I do anything? Sorry for your ears, there we go. Can I turn that down? No wait, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so you can go like for this bomb and then come down here, and you should be able to just stomp on the ice cube by like just doing a full jump and running off of that ledge. It's gonna happen. Okay, now here there's two things you can do. You can backflip and then just hold up, and that like, sorry, that does not work. It doesn't work. Oh. You can backflip and then just time like a jump input, so backflipping from here. Jump input and up input. Now all of this is off cycle, but you want to be sort of climbing on top of here, jumping down, and then in some way you want to be landing here and doing a jump before you land on this ladder. And yeah, this is the kind of movement you want to be doing. Doing this quick or not is not really too big of a deal. The main air flower time saves are with the skips. And I guess the movement too, if like you do it a lot. But here's another big skip, and this is really just anyone can do that. And that one saves like a good 30 seconds, it's ridiculous. Anyway, don't do that. That was incredible. This level is a lot of movement, so there's not much skips but rather movement, and I seem to be doing very badly at it. This part, you can take it slowly, just stomp on this guy, run along, do a backflip up here, and yeah, try not to really mess around with the enemies too much. You gotta remember these guys are your enemies. They are not simple and squishy as they are with SuperTux, because this air flower is way more valuable than any other power-up, and you want to be keeping it. So even for this section, just kind of take it as a little hops. Really utilize both directions of the arrow keys, and don't be going for silly strats like I am sometimes. So with this level, you can do two things. So if you want to do like the world record level route, oh yeah, you don't really want to be stuck behind this guy as well. This is quite slow, but if you are, it's fine. The world record cycle there saves like a good 8 seconds or so. It is a little bit tricky though, I don't recommend going for it. Secondly, this actually has a route divergence. So if you see here, I can actually use this guy without dying. And just sort of, what I did there was I aligned myself here by holding right. And now I'm aligned on the wall, but now I'm not holding right. And I just wait for this guy to push me in to the ceiling, and then I just jump. And now that I'm out, I can hold right. So you can even pause buffer that if you really want to. I don't recommend doing it, but I do recommend doing this skip because, as you see below me, all of this shit is just really difficult with an air flower. It's just really difficult. And I don't really recommend doing it until you get like a sub 17, honestly. So, now that that is done, we are we're just big tux now. So remember, when you go into Path in the Clouds, first of all you're like right on the edge. So just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind the fact that you are big tux. And now you're not big tux. Oh my god, shut up. So this skip is really easy. If you've touched an air flower, you should be able to do the skip. Even just straight up jumping lets you do that skip. You don't need to actually blind stall, but I do recommend doing it. And always do that kind of movement to get to that secret area. So that secret area actually saves like a second, believe it or not. So the way you do it is you kind of want to jump in front of this haywire and onto this little platform, and then onto here, and then do some short little hops, and then you just want to aim a jump Like you just want to aim a jump into the sky. Basically that script trigger is in this. What? What the fuck? That script trigger is in the sky. Leave ghost mode. What the fuck is happening? Oh my god, there I am. Okay. You'll spawn in this area, and you want to just be holding right and jump along these clouds. And this should be pretty easy going on top of the level, apart from when something like that happens. If that does happen, I'm very stupid, and I don't know where the power-up is. It's over there. Yeah, you can always get a second power-up. I only recommend really getting one power-up. You don't need to get 3, just get 1 in this stage. Yeah, this part. Don't do the skip here. Do not. Backflip, touch up, and then just walk on the platforms. Additionally, and this is very important, remember that you need to climb up the ladder a little bit. This is not 063 where you have lots of jump from a ladder. This is 060 where you have no jump from a ladder, and it's very shit. And yeah, the rest of this level is pretty simple. You should be able to figure that out. Yeah, don't do that skip that I was talking about towards the end. Just don't. I don't do it in my world record. It's with 1 air flower, it's stupid. With 3, it's also stupid. Maybe ever so slightly less, by like 5%. But it's still pretty stupid. So this level is pretty cool. Yeah, just try and avoid the enemies again. You can take your time with this. There's no rush, because you have to remember there really is no rush. Like I'm being completely serious. Most of the time save of the air flower is just with general movement. You can take it pretty carefully. Like you don't need to do this as quickly as I did just now. Here, when you land on the spring, you wanna hold right basically as soon as you land, or you can just take it chill and do it like that. So when you come down here, you cannot buffer a jump. So if you try land on here and you try buffer a jump, you cannot buffer a jump because it's like you're landing from the sector. So you kind of want to do something like that. So let me just show you. Something like that. And I believe you land on the platform right in front of the ice cube and you're just able to jump. So this is the secret exit. This saves about like 10 seconds, or 10 or 15 by getting the secret exit. It's free time save, basically. Always take the secret exit. And don't forget as well. Yeah, and I like to call this level, that level particularly easy. This one, not so much. So this is a pretty fiendish level, I think. You kind of want to just do the movement like this. And you really want to avoid those slippery tiles as much as possible, but not to the extent that you try and buffer jumps weirdly like that or something. Just, just try and avoid it. Keep in mind that you have touched ice and you might have some momentum blocking when you get to this area. So you probably will land face first into that spiky. So for this guy, you can just wake him up and then wait to jump over him. You can jump over him in one swoop. I don't recommend doing that because it's a little bit tricky and remember there's no coyote time. So yeah, a lot of this movement it's just if you're not getting the cycles I'm getting, that's completely fine. And remember, you did touch ice down here, so just wait a little bit. It's completely cool. And yeah, for these guys, same kind of thing goes. If for some reason you do like a jump from here to here and then get stuck there, just don't panic. Don't panic. This is right at the end of the level. You do not need to be panicking. You just need to like get to the end with it. If you do lose your air flower at this point, it only loses like 30 seconds. So the F level actually saves like, it's 15% movement speed bonus, right? So it saves about 8 seconds in this level, and then it saves like 8 in this one, and then it saves like 10 or 12 here or whatever. So you're only losing like almost 30 seconds if you lose your power up. Actually, you almost lose like 20 seconds if you lose your power up at the end of here. And of course it expands. If you lose your power up sort of at the beginning of here, I recommend just restarting the level. If you lose your power up when it comes to like around here, that's okay as long as you start. Actually no, if you lose your power up before Ice in the Hole, like let's say at the end of Or Is It Just Me, yeah, you probably want to reset. If you're losing your power up around here, you probably want to reset. Unless your PB is like really bad and you want to keep going, but it's not worth it, because if you finish the run, like if you finish like all of these levels without a power up, then it's not the best practice, but I guess it's okay because you can get a power up here. But getting a power up here doesn't resolve much time save. Like again, you only save like, I don't know, you save like 8 seconds here, then you save like 5 here or 6 here, and then you save like 8, and then 12. It's like, it's okay time save, but it's very spread out is the point. So if you get your power up again, you pretty much need to keep it to like bring the run back, I guess. Anyway, enough chatting. This level is, you kind of want to just do like a full jump onto the backs of these ice cubes, and then onto this platform here, and then up. Definitely not skipping where I just ducked. Do not skip where I ducked. You won't be able to get that. It's like a 2-frame window jump. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, there is a very precise jump in which you do, I failed it, in which you do, like, I failed it again. It's very difficult. You do something like that, but you actually make it up here. The task does it. It looks possible, it looks possible, it looks possible, it's not. It's just not possible for a person, really. You can do that variation of the jump, but also just jumping on here and up is completely fine. Just try and avoid the enemy's paths by always going on top. That is a bomb bounce, and it is a little bit precise. You do want to, like, basically press jump as you're coming in. Now, we can probably think of some variations on the spot, and you can as well. But you need to remember that this is going to be a finicky spot, so you can do that and just jump up here. That's completely fine. This is a little bit, but it works. Now you always want to be holding right at that point, so you land on the right side of this guy. And if you slow down at any point, you need to keep in mind that your cycles are changing. So if I'm slowing down here, my cycles over here are changing. The way I like to keep in mind my cycles is, if I start peaking left, keep in mind, Tux is here, and just think about all of this distance on the screen. So about 5 or 6 tiles away from this sort of border into the right is where the enemies start loading and unloading. So you can just try and, fun fact, you can press peak right. You can press peak right, hold it down, sorry, pause, and then as you unpause, it's held down, even though I'm not like holding it down on the keyboard. So if I tap it again, then it will realise it wasn't held. And the same goes for, like, if you want to do something like that, you can just quickly do it. It's really funny. So if you struggle a lot with like seeing the cycles ahead, you can actually play like this. And yeah, this part is tricky. So once you land on this guy, walking off the ledge is fine as long as you have speed. If you did like some like little slow down thing and you did that, like, you might not live all the time. So this part can be tricky. I recommend coming to a full stop here, jumping off of this and doing like a jump off of there and just holding jump. Now if you're like a pro gamer, you would do something like that in a run, but I don't really recommend doing that. Just go over him, just really use the air flower's glide ability to your advantage in areas where you're uncertain. You don't have to look at it as some kind of mythical beast. And the same goes for here. Grab the star from this, and don't be scared of these guys. If you are off cycle here for some reason, just wait a little bit, and then jump. Now, this is very important. This pipe has a troll block, so when you come from here to here, you cannot jump from this position. You need to basically jump from this position onwards. If you try jumping super early on this pipe, you will hit the block and fall and die. Or restart the level. You don't want to be doing that, especially right at the end of the run. So this is a very troll block you need to just keep in mind. And just, yeah, really master these really sort of tight jumps on the pipes. If you can do that and hold right, that's great, but if you can do it consistently and hold right all the time, that's even better. Yeah. Some levels are more about movement and getting used to the air flower versus other levels which are about skips, raw skips, rather than the movement itself. And this is definitely a movement level. I'd say there's more movement-based levels than the skip-based ones, and it just so happens there are, I guess, there are a lot more time saves found in the smaller skips with the air flower combined than all of the bigger skips with the air flower combined, I think. Because the air flower lets you do some little backflip skips and whatnot at higher level, I suppose, especially in this level. I also didn't, just skip the cutscene by pressing escape, up, and then enter. I didn't mention that. Why am I explaining that? You probably know how to skip a cutscene. Anyway, this is the last level. This is a 42-minute video, good lord, I've just realised. So this last level, with the air flower, you can lose your air flower in this level and be completely fine. So don't worry, it's not the be-all and the end-all. You want a ground pound after doing sort of a mid-high jump. So I like to go over... I'll start that again. I like to go over the ice cube, and then you can walk off and then do a jump and that. If you notice yourself going a bit too fast, just let go of right and touch left a little bit. Stuff like that. Try and manipulate your position, because you won't always get it perfectly. And you want to kind of wiggle around that snowball and just wait for these flames. And then duck jump sort of down that staircase. Now, this ice cube, sometimes he will die, sometimes he will come back. Just take note of what happens. Listen for the sound, look for the ice cube. That is a precise jump. I don't imagine anyone doing that on the first little try, but you can definitely go for it if you want. I like to kick the ice cube to kill the spikies. You can do a momentum jump up that ladder instead of going on the ladder itself. And for this part, you want to jump from this ledge and just basically not do that. You want to... How did that kill me? Yeah, you want to... Shut up. You want to jump from here and just hold space, and you will always kill those ice cubes with one nice little jump. So yeah, you now skip the cutscene by pressing escape and up, and then left immediately. Don't do it too early, please. Just practice that. Don't do it too early, because you will escape the level before it actually ends, the script trigger ends, and then you have to do the whole level again, and then you lose a minute. But I'm guessing you guys know that. So this level, you can just do that, Alternatively, you can actually ride him a little bit. That sounds really odd. Which is a little bit faster. But if you are new to the air flower, just doing this is fine. And he loses a second. And it's literally like you just run and jump. It's really easy. And there will be some variations in your bounces, so keep that in mind. Anyway, that is the 80% tutorial. It's kind of long. I didn't realise how long that tutorial was, but it should help you get some good times with the air flower. I believe it's like all of the documentation you really need. In my opinion, the hardest levels to do and the ones you should practice the most are going to be Ice in the Hold, End of the Tunnel, the Castle of Moloch, and then you want to practice Above the Arctic Skies at the beginning, and then you want to practice Under the Ice, Living in a Fridge, then you want to do Miyamoto Monument and Or Is It Just Me? And then you want to practice like the Shattered Bridge and Over the Frozen Bridge. And then the rest are pretty easy, like 23rd Airborne, Night Chill. I put Entrance to the Cave as easy. It's easy, but it has a one like slightly mid difficulty element to it, which is of course the third button skip, but if you don't get that, you can of course just get the button. It doesn't lose much, only about 5 seconds. Yeah, and then I put A Path in the Clouds as one of the easy ones. Of course this can be much more difficult if you want to do the skip at the end, but don't. An Icy Valley of course is quite easy in my opinion. So those are like the order that you should practice them in my opinion, but you might find that different. I'm gonna stop talking now. And I hope you find some success with your air flower runs. Goodbye.